Today we are going to study about the umbilicus in the anterior abdominal wall in brief, right? To explain the umbilicus, I have taken the images from the Vishram Singh volume 2. The all credits of the image will go to the author only. About umbilicus. In anterior abdominal wall, umbilicus is a very important, very conspicuous landmark on the anterior abdominal wall. Umbilicus is also called as a hotbed of embryology. Umbilicus is called as a hotbed of embryology since it related with many structures related within embryonic developmental stages. Okay, here we are going to study some anatomical points regarding the umbilicus. As already we know that it is a scar tissue on the anterior abdominal wall in the midline, in the line of median furrow, right? So its position, exact position of umbilicus. Okay, so first we'll see what is actually umbilical represents. Umbilicus representing the site of attachment of umbilical cord in fetal life. Okay, after the birth we are going to cut off the umbilicus and we'll remove the portion, and later the remnant portion, the lefted portion of the umbilicus is going to fall down by itself, and that point of attachment of umbilical cord is represented in the adult body as an umbilicus, as a scar tissue. The position of this umbilicus is in adult and in newborn and in old age little bit differed. First we'll see the position of umbilicus in adults. You can see in this diagram the position of umbilicus in adult. It present in the intervertebral disc between L3 and L4. But it is not true, and it is not actually in the same position in newborn and in old age. In newborn and old age, the location of this umbilicus will come little bit below, around L4 or in between L4 and L5. In newborn it will come downwards because of poor development of pelvic region, and in old age it's because of a diminished tone of abdominal muscles. Some anatomical significance related with the umbilicus we are going to study. There are up to 6 points we can note here in the anatomical significance of the umbilicus. First one is about the watershed line for both lymphatic and venous drainage. We'll understand by these diagrams now. Again we will see here this is a watershed line. Means above the umbilicus the venous drainage is going towards the axillary vein, and below the umbilicus the venous drainage is going to great saphenous vein. And this line forms the watershed line in the venous drainage. Again in the lymphatic drainage, if you see here in this diagram, this is again the diagram from Vishram Singh textbook volume 2. The lymphatic drainage above the umbilicus, it is going to drain towards the axillary lymph nodes, and below to the umbilicus they are going to drain towards the superficial lymph nodes. Okay, so this again, this line what you can see, the red line here, it's a watershed line at the level of umbilicus. Okay, so the umbilicus forms watershed line for both lymphatic and venous drainage. And also the umbilicus is going to form a very important landmark for the 10th dermatome level, which is important to know, which some of the clinical significance are related with the inflammation of appendix. Here the referred pain is going to occur. That's why it is somewhat important to know the level of T10th dermatome. And it is one of the very important Porta cable anastomosis. Okay, so you can see here in this diagram, this is a Porta cable anastomosis line. Okay, in Porta cable anastomosis is very important when there is an obstruction in the superior vena cava or inferior vena cava. Blood runs to the heart through one of each the vena. If obstruction in the inferior vena cava, through the Porta cable anastomosis, blood is going to reach the superior vena cava and ultimately to the heart. Same vice versa in the superior vena cava obstruction also. Right, so this is one of the very important anatomical significance related with the umbilicus. And third one is about the meeting point of 4 folds of embryonic plates. In the embryology, we have studied that the developing fetus is going to fold from head and tail end and the both from the side ends. All these foldings are joined at the level of the umbilicus. And even in the umbilicus level, even in the development of fetus, in the development of GIT, we also know that the developing GI tract will come out of abdominal cavity through the umbilicus, and that opening of that umbilical level is called as an umbilical ring, which is a natural defect existed in the linea alba at this site, which is called as an umbilical ring. And the another important anatomical significance related with umbilicus you can understand by this diagram. Here this is umbilicus. We know that the left umbilical vein is going to present in the intrauterine life. After umbilical cord cut, this umbilical vein will form the ligamentum teres. Okay, and umbilical ligamentum teres is a remnant of left umbilical vein. And we know that the urachus is going to present in the umbilicus at the developmental stage, and this urachus has remained as a ligament of the bladder of the baby, which is attached on the median plane of the bladder, in the apex of the bladder of the baby, and which is going to present, which is a remnant of urachus, and since it's present in the median plane, it's called as a median umbilical ligament, which is a remnant of urachus. And also we know that the two returning arteries are also present in the developing embryo, which are called as umbilical arteries. And they later, after the umbilical cord cut, they turn into the medial umbilical ligaments. Okay, the medial umbilical ligaments are the remnants of umbilical arteries. All these structures are attached at the level of umbilicus, which forms a important significance at the level of umbilicus. So what total anatomical significance here are the watershed line, 10th dermatome level, porta caval anastomosis, meeting point of 4 folds of embryonic plates, umbilical ring in embryo, which is a natural defect existed in the linea alba at this site of the umbilical ring, and 4 important embryonic remnants of fetus attachments, 1 ligamentum teres, ligamentum median umbilical ligament, and medial umbilical ligaments.